The papers are in. You can watch us live on Facebook. You can also watch on YouTube as well. Nigeria Info 99.3 on those two platforms. And you can join us. Let us know what you think about the headlines that we have for you today. We're going to start this morning with the Vanguard newspaper, page 5 of the Vanguard. Twitter ban, FG defiant as ECOWAS court stops Nigeria from prosecuting users.
Well, there was a judgment of the ECOWAS court yesterday that stopped Nigeria from prosecuting users. But what this story means by FG defiant is not the comment from the information minister. Is still blowing hot over the issue, which I would quickly suggest would be better if all parties take a much more matured and whatever approach to it. The minister, part of what he said yesterday was that he denied that the Twitter was suspended because it deleted Buhari's tweet. Remember that I had a sense on this program, Sheriff and I, we concluded that it was more of a security issue than the president's tweet that was deleted, but that it was tactically wrong, for the government at that time to have linked it to it somewhat. In fact, by the time the president's tweet was deleted, I would have thought that the government, for strategic reasons, would have tarried a while, before taking action. All said and done, Nigeria is in a committee of nations. Nigeria belongs to the rest of the world. We cannot, even though, yes, we have security issues and so on and so forth, we must find a way to lift this Twitter ban ASAP. Loads and loads of people are directly affected, including yours truly. It's affected my business, affected my blog, affected so many things. And then I think that the information minister would have to watch his rhetoric somewhat. Would have to, watch his rhetoric somewhat. The minister, was speaking to a joint committee yesterday, apparently, and he said something to the effect, I'm quoting him, he says, "Who is Twitter?" That is not a statement to make. I know he must have done it in anger, but he should have restrained himself. You see, this issue demands a lot of give and take. It demands a self-realization, whether you like it or not. Twitter is in existence. If you don't use it, others will, and it can very well be used against you. The government itself is suffering from the ban on Twitter. They can't get a lot of their things across. And so saying things like, who is Twitter? We are talking about a sovereign country. Nigeria will not be ruled by the laws of a multinational, no matter how powerful it is unnecessary. Just go straight to just keep... if you watch public officers speak in some other climes, if you interview them from now till the kingdom come, they'll just keep stating the point very, very clearly.
It's ironic. It's ironic when the same minister said that it wasn't because of the deleted tweet, and then comes back to say that Nigeria will not be ruled by the laws of any multinational companies. Because the argument then was that Twitter has its own laws that govern the community, and the action was taken because of the internal laws and mechanisms of Twitter. And then the minister is alluding to that fact in his utterance yesterday. It's just ironic. It shows that perhaps the minister himself should check very well the reason behind the action of the federal government and come through, because it's confusing when he says the law of Twitter cannot rule the country.
Recent utterances from him and some of the information handlers show that most likely they've been rattled and have lost a bit of focus. They've been rattled. They've been so emotional about it, and almost turned it into some kind of war, which shouldn't be. Even if it were, part of this job demands that you suppress, because you see, you're talking international politics here. Bottom line, you're talking international politics. Bottom line, the best we can do is to advise this government on what to do. But that some of us have virtually lost interest in some of these things and are looking forward to 2023, where we'll have some other person in the saddle. I've lost.
There were people the president put together yesterday to go negotiate with Twitter.
Yesterday.
Yeah.
I even missed that.
Oh yeah.
I missed that.
The minister, in fact, ministers were there. The Attorney General was there. Communication Minister was there. Isapantami, Jeffrey Oyema, Foreign Affairs is there. Minister of State Labour, Festus Keyamo is there. Babatunde Raji Vashala is there. Am I missing out anybody? Am I okay? I think that's all.
You see what happens over time. Happens over time, depending on the individual, from person to person, is that if you see something kind of persistent, some persistent action that is not pleasing to you, you take your mind off it, and gradually, like I said, I'm more concerned about how we can have a new beginning in 2023, to be honest. That concerns me more. Honestly, that concerns me more. I don't want to cast aspersions on anybody. Anyway, let's go.
Let's just go. We're going to stick with the Vanguard. $3 million bribery. Court sentences ex-reps probe panel chairman Lawan to 7 years imprisonment.
You know, Sheriff, when I saw this morning, I'd actually forgotten about this case. And this is what happens in a lot of times in even criminal cases. After the initial excitement of, charging and whatever, then people take their minds off it. I'd forgotten about this case. But all of you remember Farouk Lawan, who it was said, it's no longer it was said now, it's almost apparent that he took $500,000.
That's right.
But when I read the story, apparently it was the DSS that put the money down.
It was a max. Correct.
Yes, and it just reminds me of the days of the good old CID. Back in the 70s, when they go around the ministries and ask for one file and try to bribe you with, in those days, maybe 8 naira or 10 naira or something like that. And this is what has happened. Well, Lawan is going to, he had a very good career politically until this happened. Some of us had our eyes on him until he got himself involved in this mess. And so he's gotten 7 years. He's got 7 years imprisonment. Let me read the story here. It says the court in the judgment delivered by Justice Angela Otaluka found the 4-term lawmaker for 4 terms, guilty of demanding an aggregate sum of $3 million from chairman of Xenon Petroleum, Femi Otedola, to give his company a clean bill of health in the fuel subsidy probe. Otedola claims that he was not even involved in fuel subsidy at all. So Lawan didn't do his homework well, apparently. The court says that Lawan claimed that he collected $500,000 as a setup against Otedola to serve as a lesson to others that put the committee under pressure. Well, he collected it. The court wondered why the defendant, who claimed he notified 2 other members of the ad hoc committee of Otedola's moves to bribe him, failed to produce Ribadu or the committee members to testify in his defense or to report any security agency. And it held that Lawan's failure to call vital and material witnesses was fatal to his defense. So our friend has gotten 7 years imprisonment. Listen. If you can't do the time, don't do the crime. There is always Judgment Day. It is inevitable. In all the things that we do, there is always Judgment Day. And guess what? In committing most crimes, maybe 99% of crimes, there's always a slip. There's always a chance that if you are not caught immediately, you will be caught someday. And so let this, stand as a lesson. And sometimes, no matter how well connected you are, sometimes a case can take on a life of its own. Every time I say this, I remember the story of Ejigbadero in the 70s, who was so well connected. These were people who could say in Yoruba, meaning that I can kill somebody, stand by his corpse, and nothing will happen to me. If you go and read the story of Ejigbadero, it's documented in a book. I remember Odigegewura. There's a book. You see the story of Ejigbadero. They're well connected, and he killed a hunter. He was hung in Lagos here in the 70s. He was hung. So this very popular, belonged to all the cult societies. Even Obey waxed a record in his name. And I remember that day when he was being sentenced, he was asking when they told him he would hang by the neck. He was asking, what did they say? He said, "Well, no, I'm banging you." So if you can't do the time, don't do the crime. This one, would this be part of an anti-corruption crusade?
I guess.
Did this happen during?
No.
It didn't happen during.
It happened during Jonathan's
time. Yes. So Jonathan gets the credit.
I don't know if there is any. I don't know, honestly.
We can't add this to Buhari's anti-corruption campaign.
Well, this is. I think this is just purely the judiciary.
But it was anti-corruption that brought about.
Yes, I agree. I agree.
This one goes to Jonathan.
Championed by an external person, not the government. Wait.
It's the government that produced the money.
Yeah, I'm saying that it started with an external person.
External or internal?
That's Otedola who decided to take it up.
This one to in my graph. I give it to Jonathan.
Okay.
So who do you want to give it to?
Nobody. I'm giving it to nobody. Nobody. We're going to stay with the Vanguard newspaper. Lagos opens Coroner inquest into popular chief's death.
Yes, there was a private inquest, but because of the nature of the death, there'll be a coroner's inquest, and that is what has happened. Of course, all of you know the story of Mrs. Quadry Ogboma. It's an unfolding saga, and hopefully we'll get to the bottom of it all. And if there's a need to sanction anyone, we hope that it will take place. I'd also advise that you follow this case, because there'll be a lot to learn, from it. Surviving in our country, especially in Lagos, you have a lot to learn. It will also help you, ask yourself relevant questions when you face health challenges. That, okay, what should I look at for? In fact, for this, I think I better bring a personnel who will tell us what are the things you should look out for when you need treatment. What are the things? Forget the marble walls, forget the air conditioning, forget that. Okay, even if you can't live in Ikoyi,
all the big names and aesthetics,
forget all that. Forget the fact that Chief something, when he fell down, that's where he went. What? I forget about, some people even say that I don't want people to, how would like people come and visit me in a hospital like this. I would need somebody to come tell us the parameters by which you could judge a very good hospital. One of the best doctors I know in this town is in W, but what he has in his head, okay? So we need it, just like choosing a school for your children. All of us get carried away by the air conditioning, by all the things, but you don't get to the nitty-gritty. So we'll keep our eyes on this, and once again we sympathize with the Ogboma family for the loss of their wife. I
was following up on the case on TV being done by FCCPC. Tunde Rukera was even on our show Downfall Conversations on last Friday, and I couldn't imagine some of the things that were revealed during the 2 days that I followed up with that inquiry by FCCPC. And you'll be wondering why all of these things, and you could even see right there on TV people trying to use power and influence on TV.
That's not
we can't come. One dental and medical whatever has ordered the doctors not to appear before this on TV.
Yeah, but it's the country that we live in. Everybody
what in God's name
everybody
is that?
Believes they're above the law and can manipulate any situation. It's incidents like this, like Lawan's home, that I'm sure will serve as a lesson that sometimes these things take a life of its own.
Right. We are staying with the Vanguard newspaper. This time, page 11 of the Vanguard. Make traditional rulers institution fourth tier of government. Ugboke tells FG.
No, that's absolutely unacceptable. In a democracy, all tiers of government should be the judiciary are not elected. That just occurred to me. But I don't support the idea of traditional rulers being in any. What they should be, the responsibility they should be given is that of being in charge of our culture, whatever our values and our traditional religion and community.
Should they have, maybe what he's saying is they should have some form of national recognition and position.
How many people would then have national? Because once you deal with this, then the issue of passing that also to religious leaders also comes in.
Maybe they have their own. I mean, we cannot emphasize the religious leaders. They can go and do religion, whatever it is, somewhere. But traditional rulers, come to think of it,
they are custodians of our own traditional religion, whether they like it or not. Some of them say they are not born again. Some of them keep to the Muslims, but that in itself is part of the wrong thinking that we have. A traditional ruler is the custodian of our religious and traditional religion and practices. If he doesn't want to do it, he has no business being a traditional ruler. These are some of the things Dubi and I were talking about yesterday that we've gotten our heads mixed up. We have to give unto Caesar what is Caesar's and unto God what is God, so that we have a clear thinking.
Okay. I'll go with you. Okay.
You're in a good mood today. I'm trying to draw you out, but I'm not succeeding. I will throw you under the bus.
Vanguard is also here, page 13.
Yes.
Insecurity, FG, Nigerians look up to you. Don't let us down, Buhari tells police personnel.
Yes, the police were passing out yesterday, and the president was telling the new officers that they should maintain zero tolerance for corruption and discharge of their duties, and Nigerians look up to you. Unfortunately, at times like this, you can't give a reply, because I'm sure the policeman would have loved to tell the president that we also look up to you to make our lives worthwhile, to make our work environment and housing environment up to scratch. And so we haven't treated the Nigerian police very well, I must say.
No, we have not.
We haven't treated them. I mean, just the environment in which they work, the police stations, and so on and so forth. But if we can do that for the Navy, if we can do that for the Air Force, if we can do that for the Army, why can't we do the same for the police? Right. You know, so yes,
Did you see a video of a policeman who went viral yesterday? I think it was in Yobe or so. The station was burnt down and he was in front of the camera lamenting and crying.
Oh yes, so many. You try and bring in a recently retired police officer and hear what he has to say. So many. I don't know why. I think this
was questioning why they had to sacrifice for the country, why they had to do.
Yeah, but I think that that the from the origins, the police were used by the colonialists to beat the niggers into line. Sorry that I use that word, to beat the niggers into line. I'm using it in quotes. And from then on, people have always seen the police as their own enemy. And I think it got compounded by military rule, where the police were relegated completely. Because all the time of Gawan, and of course, there was a civil war, the military police then, way back then, took up more of the duties of the police than whatever. So eventually, we've had a wrong attitude towards police and policing. Now, it's not helped. The question is, who is to blame? Who created the monster? Did we create the monster by the way we've been relating to them? Most likely, I would say yes. And therefore, the NSAS that happened recently is what has almost finally killed the issue we are talking about. So I think we need a new attitude, both the government and the people. We need a new attitude towards the yes, I know they can sometimes be irritating. The recruitment process also did not help the police at some point. I think it was during Tafa Balogun's time when it was difficult to distinguish some policemen from thieves. That has nothing to do with the famous reggae song "Police and Thieves." But anyway, if we don't reform our police force, we are heading for trouble. As it is now, I
think we're in trouble already.
We're in trouble already.
There's another video. Sorry to butting. There's another video yesterday of a young man driving on the road. and the police van driving alongside him, and then one of the policemen brought out a gun and shot at him.
No, that must have been part of a movie.
No, it wasn't. It's not funny, but
that must have been part of the movie.
No, it wasn't.
He shot at him. He killed him?
No. He missed.
No, did he miss or he just wanted to shoot in the air or something?
No. He brought out a gun, pointed
at
him.
Talking about shooting in the air, can I tell our listeners a story for 1 minute?
Yeah, please.
I was with the MD of an insurance company about 15 years ago on Martin Street. Martin Street. Mm-hmm. We were on the 8th floor of this building. I went for him. He was my client, so I had a meeting with him. He was on the 8th floor, 8th or 10th floor of that building. So at some point, he got up to, I don't know what he got up to, maybe what we were discussing. Anyway, he got up. Then I just said, "Thoop." Okay?
My word.
I'm telling you, a bullet, 8th floor, the bullet went through his chair where he was sitting.
Oh, my word.
Now listen. So this was on the 8th floor. And we so we kept wondering where this came from. Now, if he had been sitting on that chair and he was shot, there is no way I wouldn't be held initially. This man, you must have killed him. So anyway, further investigation, do you know what it was? There was a bullion van downstairs. And police like shooting in the air. The guy who shot in the air, for takeoff, they like shooting, pow, just to give you one for takeoff. That was a bullet that came through the window and went into his chair.
My word.
Yes. I started worshiping the God that he worships.
My word.
And that is the true story. It's MD of an insurance company. And it was so close. That's the closest. So, a police at the last 2 weeks ago at the palace.
Yeah.
The palace here, the Oniru's palace. There was an anniversary going on. I was approaching the road. And area boys were running after an SUV, hey, Baba, income. The policeman that was the so-called, what do you call them now? The so-called attaché, security.
Oh, okay.
The guy shot in the air twice for nothing. And on going home, I said to myself, either this man was just frightened or intimidated or overexcited.
No, they actually say it. They say if I've been to an nobody, and they will say, how do they even say just like that? Like, let's drop two for you.
Let's drop two. And you know that the funny thing about being shot is I remember one day I was coming. I used to think that these things are like what you see in the movies.
Yeah.
But one day I was coming with the late Wahab Dosumo. We were coming from Ikeja, from Dr. Finney's place, and going. I can't remember, but on the Fadeyi area. The Fadeyi boys were fighting the Oshodi boys over a 50-liter jerry can of fuel. And they were shooting themselves. I was it's not like what you see. It's not like, so when they shot, I said, and what I'm told is when you're shot, it takes about another 30 seconds for you to feel it. So when that one dropped his own at the front of the Oniruba lab, I said to myself, let me check the neck. Let me see if my neck is still on. Yeah, but we do need to reform the police force all the way down. To reform the. You see, you look at some of the other forces. You look at a naval rating.
Yeah.
Discipline, the way he walks, the way he's dressed, the way he conducts himself.
Very smart and neat and clean.
You go to their barracks. One time we had MTN had this thing doing in the police barracks in Obalende, and I went there. It was a sorry sight.
We must go now, Jimmy.
We're going.
Yes, we have to.
I was just warming up.
No, we have to. We have to. What's coming out at 9?
Do you know Bash now?
I know Bash.
He's coming to do Diablo maybe.
Fantastic.
They call him Oshomo. He will explain that. Bash will be here at 9 o'clock for Diablo. Those of you who watch movies, I'm sure you know who Bash is.
Fantastic, Jimmy.
If you don't know, check YouTube when we start.
All right. Thank you so much, Jimi, for coming.
Yeah.
Many thanks to MTN and the rest of you who joined us on social media and on the radio. We'll be right back with the news in a moment. Good morning to you.
You've waited so long, and now the doors are wide open for
99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.